No. There we go. Testing. Sorry for the late stream. I had some technical difficulties and my game refused to let me watch the stream without issue. We're in qualifying. We're not late. We're going to watch Shanae go third. Decent start. Fortunately, my internet was saying no to me, so I couldn't actually get anything to work properly, which was quite frustrating. But hopefully everything works, everything is stable, nothing will crash and break on me as we go through and watch the qualifying session now. Switch to our control room information. We've got Abe on the top of the timing sheet. He's got a 1:28.485, very good lap by the McLaren driver, closely followed by, I'm struggling for words now, closely followed behind by Noah Ackerman and Oosby. Noah Ackerman 0.53 tenths behind, and Oosby 7.35 tenths or thousandths of a second behind. It's just 1 second splitting the top 5. Shanae now demoted down to 5th place. Hopefully my connection stays stable and the stream will remain stable for you all to watch the race without a problem. Please do let me know if there are any issues that you are seeing or experiencing on stream. I will do my best to solve them. Let's clear that from there, and I am functioning. So far now it has been 6.5 minutes of qualifying. We have Abe at the top of the timing sheet to 1:28.447, improvement on his previous time, and he's now going for a third hot lap. With Oosby just behind, 3 tenths back. Currently got the fastest first sector of the session. Beating Abe by just 3/100ths of a second in that first sector. Go around Zolder. Third place, we've got Noah Ackerman, a 1:28.9, the first of the 29s in the grid so far. Just about losing 2 tenths in the first, 1 tenth in the first sector, 3 tenths in the second sector, and 1 tenth in the third. And to finish off the top 4, we have Philip, aka Shanae, sitting with the number 1 for being the champion last season, sitting with a 29.230. Just a few tenths in the first, second, and third sector, losing out. But there are still 12.5 minutes remaining, so still plenty of time for drivers to get their laps in. We've still got a few drivers putting in some laps. We have Ahmed Jasmine, sorry, I hope I pronounced that right. Car number 30 going round in the third sector, is coming towards the final couple of corners. Final chicane, sorry, to go towards the finishing line. What can McLaren driver do? And across the line, it looks to be a 1:30.4. Not a bad lap, putting you up to 13th place. Further behind, we have Andrew as well. Got 3 drivers still yet to set a time. We'll see what Andrew can do now. Currently improving his time from what I would assume was an invalidated lap just before, and I think that's Shanae just behind him as well. So let's see what Andrew can do coming through into the third sector. And now all he's got is that final chicane to set his first valid time, or his first lap time on the leaderboard. Very tidy. Now to the line will be a 1:30 or 1:29.9, now taking 11th place. So an improvement. Nonetheless, next across the line, we've got Joanne, we've got Kiri for the first time in Ferrari racing with us. Welcome, Kiri, to the track. A 1:33.1, not bad for a first lap. We'll have to see where track improvements are. There was always somewhere to improve in this track, and be interesting to see where we can get some improvements. We have Dimitri now, who is out of the pits on his out lap, so we'll see where he can go, and then that will be every driver so far putting in a qualifying lap time. Yellow flag. Slight spin. He's okay, he's on his way. Got a few drivers approaching the line now, however, some of them, or if not many of them, sorry, do not look to be improving their time. Let's have a look at Dimitri. He's now coming towards the line to start his first hot lap. Coming towards the line now, we've got Shashi who's just crossed the line. They did have an improvement, unfortunately not by much and not enough to take a position. Next across the line, we have Spooky there, had a bit of an incident. Unfortunate. And we have the man, the myth, and the legend, Jashay. He's back on the grid, and he's back racing with us. He puts in a 130.837, putting him up in 19th place. Not a bad lap for the McLaren driver. 111. Fortunately, it is set on the server for all names to be white. If their names, as you can see on the left-hand side, have a black number with a red background, it's just simply we've not registered their car and their profile to have it synced up with the rest of the styling that we have for all the other drivers. This is a 60-minute race today, so all drivers will have a mandatory pit stop to serve as Dimitri puts in his first hot lap now. It's a 1:30.0, the fastest 1:30 lap time, putting him up in 12th place. Yeah, it's a 60-minute race, so all drivers will have to serve a mandatory pit stop before the end of the race. It'll open 60 seconds after the start of the race and close 60 seconds before the end of the race. In that pit stop, drivers will be stopped for a mandatory time of 25 seconds, can increase that time to 30 seconds should they wish to change their tyres. And it is required to at least add 1 litre of fuel to the car in that pit stop for the 25 seconds. So it'll be interesting to see what these drivers do and if they opt to go for lower fuel load to start the race and fuel the rest of the way to the end of the race, or are they just going to stick to doing that 1 litre and going for a full tank of fuel at the start of the race. Team Mav, says Rebellious. Team Mav indeed. Well, let's have a look where Maverick is. Andrew Taggart currently sitting in 11th place in the pit, currently content with his lap time, I would assume, sitting with a 1:29.895. He's losing the majority of his time in the first and the second sector. His third sector is not that bad. He's about 4/10 or 5/10 off of the pace, whereas his middle sector is 7/10 off, and his his first sector, is about 7/10 off as well, as he gets demoted now to 12th place as driver John Paulo Yalung, I hope I've pronounced your name right, puts in a lap time of a 1:29.8. Top of the timing sheets for the 1:29s. Do have a few drivers on some serious lap improvements. We're going to go up to the top with Abe, who's currently on a 1/10 improvement coming into the final chicane. He's going to continue to extend that lead he has over Oosby from 4/10 to what could be perhaps more. He loses time in that chicane and unfortunately does not increase his time. But we'll have to see what he can do if he goes for a second hot lap. Next across the line, Ahmed across the line, 14th place for the McLaren driver. Promoted quite a few up, and that promotes Cthulhu down to 15th place. Next to cross the line will be the one and only James Konos. The second half, or the other half of, not the second half, what am I about? The second driver of 3 drivers in Team Rocket. How could I ever forget about Vin Falkenberg, who I believe is not racing this afternoon, but is normally racing for Team Rocket. We do have a stationary car on the track. There we go, he's in the pits. Safe from any accidents. We have Chris here, now coming towards the line. He's got 2.5 tenths improvement to the line. Improves up to 7th place, a 1:29.327, exactly 1/100th of a second quicker than Jay Kelly, who's currently sitting in 9th place. And that is, again, a 5-block Ferrari between 7th and 11th place, all just congregated together. Perhaps the Ferraris can work together and climb their way up. We'll have to see. Be interesting to see if we ever got a top 5 of McLaren's. Now to the line. Abe increases his gap, his pole position time by 3 tenths now. A 1:28.027. Incredible lap time by the McLaren driver. Now Ousby has a lot more work to do. He needs a 6.5 tenth improvement in order to steal pole away from Abe. We'll have to see what he can do, along with Noah Ackerman and Philip as well. Philip Frelensky, I hope I pronounced that right. Currently the top 4, all about 9, 8, and 7 tenths behind pole position. Extends his lead, that's the word that I was trying to think of. Next across the line with a pretty damn good improvement, here comes Andrew Taggart, aka Maverick, with a 2 tenths improvement across the line. Bumps himself up to 11th place, an incredible time so far, with a 1:29.725, just 4/100ths of a second quicker than Hernandez behind him. Next we've got Shashi coming towards the final chicane, currently with a 1/2 second improvement. Keeping it very steady through the chicane. He's improved time. He's losing time. He's coming to the line. Is it going to be enough to get into the top 15? It is. He's in 14th place, top 14 for the McLaren driver. Next across the line will be Kevin as he comes off of the race there. Unfortunately, I think he had a horrible exit out of the chicane. So back into the pits for Kevin there. A lot of drivers now approaching the line. A lot of them, though, not improving. Next driver to come towards the line with a massive improvement is going to be Andrew. Currently looking at a 4.5 tenths improvement. Bumps him up into the top 10, a 1:29.3. It looks like a lot of drivers are now tumbling down the order into the 1:29s. So now it'll be interesting to see how many drivers are we going to have get their car up into the 1:28. Only 4 drivers right now, and that is the top 4. Next across the line was John. Unfortunately, there was a lap time improvement, but not enough. He matches the time of Dimitri ahead of him, but because Dimitri was the first driver to set a 1:29.095, he will be the driver ahead. Forza Ackerman and Forza Spinner. Welcome, Vin. How you doing, buddy? Yellow flag for Kevin. Hopefully he can get out of the way of the approaching drivers. Does that just in time. See him get underway as soon as possible. Next across the line again will be Ahmed with a 1.5 tenths improvement, and this might be enough to get him into the top 14 or perhaps top 13. Across the line, top 14 with a 1:28.8. Bit hungover, are you, Vin? You know, I've been told, you know, ACC is the best cure to hangovers. You know, you should try it out sometimes. I trust me. I know the best part. Where's the invite, Vin? If you're going to another party, where's my invite to the second party? Come on. You gotta invite all of Phoenix. Next across the line, Andrew Taggart with a 2.5 tenths improvement finds himself up into 11th place with only 40 seconds remaining. If you are not on the grid, sorry, if you're not out of the pits, you are not putting in a new lap. So Abe Santama, I hope I pronounced that right, is content with his lap and is confident no one will be able to come close to beating it. And saying that Oosby is only just a 10th improvement now coming through this third sector. 14 euros for a ticket. I mean, you're gonna have to pay for my travel cost to get to wherever it is you live, and pay for my accommodation. You know, I say pay for it. Let me sleep on the couch. Who's been out to the line? Unfortunately, no improvement there. Will remain in P2, and that is the end of qualifying. Noah Ackerman as well. No improvement now coming through the chicane. Perhaps he can gain a few tenths or a few thousandths of a second, but unfortunately, right on the cusp of it, he will not improve. Next across the line will be Andrew. He's got half a second improvement. This will certainly bump him quite a few places up into the 128. Now beats Philip and takes fourth place with a 128.910. Next across the line, we've got Cthulhu. Not Cthulhu, sorry. I was mistaken. Next across the line is going to be Andrew Taggart again. Cutting the final corner. I think he's had enough of that lap. Unfortunately, that will be it for Maverick. Next driver close to approaching the line is going to be Kevin Barfield. Coming through the final chicane, he's looking at a 3.5 tenths improvement. Can he maintain that time? Unfortunately, he's losing 2 tenths, nearly 2.5 tenths in that final chicane. Now to the line, he will improve, but it won't be enough to bump him up a position. And the next driver, the final driver to cross the line with a potential improvement, will be Cthulhu with a nearly 1 second improvement. Puts his car up into 8th place. An incredible lap by Cthulhu. And now that is a 129.230, beating the pair of Chris and Kelly with matching time, or almost matching times behind him. And he's just behind the matching duo of John and Dimitri ahead. We do have a couple drivers still out, but I think, yeah, they're all just waiting on the grass, sunbathing before the race gets going. You are more than welcome to join, Vin. I would probably need the help because I don't know what the hell I'm doing around this track. I've never practiced Zolder. You give me a moment, I will send you that code. Senor Vin, welcome to the commentary box. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, hello. I'm doing okay, I guess. I just
Good.
gotta start the game, and then I'll be with you.
Enjoying that hangover, I hope.
It's not too bad. I was only like 4 beers, so it was pretty quick to recover, but it's still a bit.
Only 4 beers, and you got a hangover. Oh, you poor soul.
It's not really a hangover, it's just like that standard
Minor
small
headache.
headache. Yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
never really had a full one. Maybe I can change that today. We will see. It's the first time I'm getting drunk 2 days in a row.
If I remember it correctly, El Patron Man, that's reason B. He says weakness. Sounds like weakness.
Might be. I mean, I haven't had that many partying nights yet. We gotta build the resistance over time.
Come on, I thought you were party animal Vin.
Nah. I only was it like, what was it, 2 parties, 3 parties so far?
Right, as we get ready for the formation lap, we do have some drive-throughs for people to serve before the end of the
Jesus.
race. You can see them all coming up in the race control bottom right.
Jesus.
We have ourselves Cthulhu with an incredible lap time at the end of qualifying there in 8th place with a drive-through to serve. We also have Spooky sitting in 23rd with a drive-through to serve, and I believe there's one other driver on the grid today with a drive-through to serve as well. Actually have a quick look to Discord.
Okay, my ACC should be up and running. Now I just gotta join in.
We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drive-throughs to serve. Unfortunately, though, 3 of those drive-throughs are not racing this evening or this afternoon. So their penalties will have to be served in the next race.
Okay, there we go.
I like how even the game is commentating now.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta switch to broadcast mode.
20 seconds.
There we go. Alright.
I've never actually listened to the broadcast that happens in the game. I didn't realize there was one that actually talks about previous champions and this, that, the other. That's actually quite interesting.
Yeah,
I
it's
know
some
it's just
pre-recorded stuff.
Yeah, I know it's just pre-recorded, but it's still quite interesting that exists.
I know there's one about qualifying at some 24-hour spa race. That's all I know. I listened to it once, and another thing about it's mostly just about qualifying, even when it's a race session. It's like post-quali interviews and all that stuff.
But here we go. It is Formation Lap. Unfortunately, this is not as interesting as F1, where there are tire strategies and donuts and all of that, but it is still quite interesting to see because it gives us an opportunity.
Somebody going a bit slow, but it was just okay. Yeah, a lot of piling.
But it gives us an opportunity, a very good opportunity, to have a look at all of the beautiful liveries that people have on show. Fortunately, no one has come to me saying, hey, you know, can you please feature my stream, my livery on the stream? So I don't know who has nice and sparkly, shiny, brand new liveries. So off the best of my knowledge, I believe Oosby has a new livery. There it is. A nice blue Ferrari with the Phoenix logo on the right side as we see him merge with Team Rocket, trying to get all of the attention. You got the Phoenix logo at the top, the front there, and you have the Ferrari horse at the top as well. Of course, Ferrari on the banner and Oosby on the number plate. A very nice livery, I have to say, for him. Altosis, do you mind? Altosis just wants all the fame. All right, let's give Altosis a bit of the spotlight. Him and his nice pink livery. We've also got Shanae. He's got his black and yellow livery for his BMW. Pink for Andrew. Lamborghini for Dimitri. White and blue. Look at the map. Whereabouts are we coming towards the third sector? There's too many liveries, man. I can't go through all of them in time.
I don't know if that ours Zolder is the best idea. I'm honestly not sure. It could be a bit of chaotic first lap because it's a very narrow track and we have like over 20 cars. I think it's 25. Yeah, 25 cars. It could be a bit of a tumble at the beginning, as it normally is. So that's gonna be an interesting one. The race leader, I know the race leader actually. He's like the most dominant driver I've ever seen in the VGTR league. So
We'll have to see how Phoenix handles with him.
Yep.
Oosby right alongside Andrew, Dimitri, Noah Ackerman, and Philip Verlinsky, I believe is how you pronounce that, all lined up behind. Here we go, approaching the line. Vin, why don't you have fun and try and commentate the start of the race, the first few sectors?
All right. There we go, green at Zolder, and the engines are roaring into the first corner. Ape Cinema takes the line. Uzabi is getting blocked off. Behind there's a lot of tumbling and a lot of... Oh, there's somebody off. Oh, that's Ahmed Yasmin, or Jasmine, or however you pronounce that. And Kevin Barfield also had a bit of a moment there. A lot of tumbling. I am absolutely crazy. What is going on? Okay, so after the first few corners, we have Ape Santama leading by a pretty big gap to Uzabi already. Of course, Uzabi in P2. Here's Noah Ackerman. He's having a bit of a look down inside, but he doesn't do it. And there's the Lamborghini of who is that? I do not see it. Dimitri Samsonov taking P5, overtaking That's the Mercedes of, I think, is that
Andrew.
Andrew, yeah. So pretty good move there. Right behind them is Philip Probinski, or Shine, as we all know him, previous season champion. Also followed by JP and Chris. How do you pronounce that?
I don't know. He's
Which
messaged me before because apparently it's a lot of fun to watch us struggle pronouncing his last name.
Probably like Viders.
We're
I don't know.
I know I've slaughtered it horribly. As Andrew now takes the move back on Dimitri and up into fourth place again.
People are coming in to save their drive-through penalties.
Abe with a 1.4 second gap now. Fastest lap, a 1:31.9. Of course, it's the first lap of the race. But compared to Oosby behind him with a 1:33.2. For some reason on my timing sheets it's coming up that everyone else is setting a lap of 4 minutes. I guess that would make sense if you've got the formation lap.
Yep.
There were a few fights. We've got two Ferraris going side by side, 12th and 13th place, going side by side into the second sector now.
Oh man.
Very close between the two of them as now Cthulhu has served his drive-through. But it looks as though Chris has managed to get his car ahead. I say that, there goes a cone as Tom just throws that cone off of the track and is trying to still, with the inside line, keep the position. But unfortunately, Chris could not quite stick it. I hate that the Ferraris all look so identical. It's so difficult to tell who's who. Tom is ahead.
You're gonna have even more fun at the Nürburgring when there's another additional Ferrari with the number 541.
Let me guess, that's you.
Yep.
Let's go.
One-off race for this season. It'll be pretty cool because I have enough time to practice nowadays.
Still have one drive. There's a massive collision. Hold on a minute. We've had a 4-car collision between Spooky and a few others. If we have a look at the race replay, Spooky being 992. I don't think 992 was involved in the incident, but it certainly was a bit of a collision there. Let's have a quick replay. Between cars at 7 and 30, diving down the inside of the corner and hitting. It's a 3-car collision from one driver trying to go deep on the brakes, and then unfortunately getting involved with another. That certainly will be reviewed by the stewards afterwards.
Oh, Noah Ackerman is very close to Uzibi right now. This is very, very tense to watch.
He wanted the attention in formation lap. He's got the attention now in the race. Can he make the move, or is he going to be stuck looking at the rear end of that car for the duration of this race? We've seen it happen at Kielami. Are we going to see it happen again at Zolder?
We might. It has become a bit more calm in the midfield, except for that. Oh boy, I think my internet just died and I saw a crash that didn't. Yep. Anyways, it has a bit more quiet. And there's a McLaren going wide, and Just Shay has hit Chris Vezil. I don't even know.
Let's have a look at the replay. Chris going into the corner, Jashay going very wide and off onto the grass. Unfortunate, unsafe re-entry, but has also lost control of the car, which caused a collision with Chris. And that definitely will then be reviewed by the stewards, because even I'm unsure if that's someone at fault. I think that's just quite unfortunate. But the car certainly does have some damage, because Chris is struggling to get around the corners. There's the car backwards. Shashi has his car turned the wrong way round. If we look, he touches into the grass and tries to make a move on Jashay ahead of him, but unfortunately
he spins again.
Spins. My camera is freaking the hell out. As we have another spin, we have Kelly. Jay Kelly has had a bit of spin. If we have a look at the replay, there is far too much going on, and thankfully the replay exists. And going through the chicane, he climbs the curb and just unsettles the car so horribly, and unfortunately loses now 3 positions from that driver error there. Shashi is still recovering, coming through the gravel and onto the track. Fortunately, no drivers nearby, so there is no one to cause an incident with.
Alright, so Tom Bartels of VGTR Esports has now gained a position thanks to Kelly's tumble, but now Kelly will see to hunt him down to get that P11, which he inherited.
Five seconds now between Abe and Oosby. Abe is just pulling away like there is no tomorrow. That is incredible driving by the McLaren man. 28 pulling away from 29.
It's pretty ironic considering Abe's lap times are 28s and Oosby's are 29s.
Didn't even notice that. Right, whilst we have a bit of a calming situation here, let's have a look at that first lap incident. We had cars number 76, 111, 136, and 30, so 30, all getting into an incident on the first lap. Now we're going to the back to the first corner. It seems like a rear bumper accident towards the back of the grid. I don't know why it decides to switch to the front. We then also have number 86 and 49. I think that was the bumper-to-bumper incident going into the first corner. If we look at this now, it's giving us the perfect angles. Let's go back to Helicam. And the final incident that happened in that first lap as well. Actually, there's a few more incidents, but they're not all of them, of course, are incidents that require to be reviewed. 4 cars going down the straight. And it looks pretty clean. There was, I think, just netcode there. There was no incident between those drivers. So it's just netcode that's then decided to tell my control room, hey, they crashed. And now Oosby's 6.5 seconds back from Abe. Abe is just in another world.
I might have spotted something here. I think number 101 is using the old Aston Martin. I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me, but it looks like the old Aston Martin.
Perhaps it could be, and as you say that as well, Shanae is fighting with Andrew. Shanae is now up into 5th place, but Andrew is very close behind, along with John just behind.
Yeah, so I can confirm it is the old V12 Vantage Aston, which is of course a bit of a power nerf in comparison to the actual V8 Aston.
Wait, which driver?
Lawrence Adrian.
Just the old one. Oh no.
Yep. Yep. And now, at the top in the battle for P2,
Now we have a yellow flag.
there's 3
Jake
cars now.
Spinner
Oh
has
no.
probably done exactly what his name suggests. No, he hasn't had a spin. He's just had to slow down
damage.
and has had to stop, yeah.
That is
Very
of
dangerous
course not
maneuver to
optimal.
stop on the track, but fortunately he was safe from the racing line. No one collided in with him.
Jake Spinner, of course, a driver who is currently without a team, but according to my informations, there is rumors around the paddock that he will create a team with a certain someone next season. But that's all I've heard.
Oh, lovely. As John now makes the move on Andrew up into 6th place. So Andrew has just lost 2 positions in 2 laps. And Dimitri is all over the gearbox of Ackerman, just ahead of him in 3rd place. Ferrari versus McLaren fighting for 3rd place. Fighting for 2nd place, because they're just 8 tenths behind Oosby.
Yeah, but Uzibi is pulling away a bit more from Ackerman, and now he's, of course, as you've already stated, under pressure from Samsonov. This is gonna be a very interesting fight. Could be a long one until the pit stop window. I mean, it's open, but until everybody eventually pits. There's a 7-second gap between P1 and P2 right now. Abe Santama is completely demolishing all competition right now. He is flying, absolutely flying. It's pretty insane to watch actually. It's crazy. In other news, I've just taken a look at number 992 Spooky. He is completely damaged. That is the most damaged Porsche I've ever seen in my entire life. And the bonnet is also in the air. He's about to be the first car to get lapped. He's gonna get lapped any minute now. It's probably the most horrible thing you can feel in all of racing. Like a car which is extremely damaged. Only thing you can hope there is that your suspension is not damaged, because if it is, then you're fighting demons. Oh my god, that was scary to watch, the lapping. That was close. Oh, and Abe Santama has it off! I've never this could be horrible. Uzabi, Ackerman, and Samsonov go through. This changes everything. What have I just seen? What have I just witnessed? Santama was lapping Spooky, and out of nowhere, he completely spun. And now he's in P4. He lost the podium and the win. For now, at least. Who knows? His pace is insane. He might just take it back in 2 laps time. He's running 0-0 wings and has enough downforce to take the corners with perfection. I'd never expect that to happen, especially since I know who Abe is and what his skill set is. That is not typical for him to happen. That shouldn't have happened. He never has moments like that when he races normally, so that's the first one for me to witness. Oh, and Dmitry Samsonov has an off as well. What is happening at the chicane? Oh, and that's Andrew Prietko, also in the wall. But there you will also see, yep, there is Andrew. Oh. What a crash that was. Yeah. Yep, so Uzabi leading now with Ackerman just behind him. And then there's Abe Santana. So 2 McLarens and a Ferrari in the top 3.
Yeah, I forgot about that, Rebellious. I had to mute myself because I had to write a few things out because I just got a message. So I had to mute my mic, and then I forgot to unmute the mic, so no one could hear what I said.
Okay, we have a few
Uh,
people in the pits. We have Kevin Barfield and Andrew. Currently pitting, repairing damage, maybe filling up some fuel,
that is going to
maybe some
be a
tires.
hefty amount of time in the pits for Andrew.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's probably
Just
like a
looking
minute
at
of
that
pit stop.
damage, that is horrible.
The bonnet is not just open; it's also like tilted. Like it's more damage on one side, and it looks horrible. Also, Abe Santama has taken P2. I didn't even notice that. I didn't even see the overtake.
Neither did I.
Maybe he just ghosted himself through. Maybe he's just a phantom.
McLaren team orders.
Zach Brown has been calling them, and I was like, "Yo, let him through." Alright, but Uzubi will be under a lot of pressure now. Since, you know, Abe is almost half a second quicker than him on average.
And here I thought Oosby was the best driver.
Oh, you'd be surprised how quick some people are in this game. Uzubi is very quick, but there are some people who are just insane. And they're not even on esports level. Esports is even quicker than Abe. But there's not much happening right now. It's mainly just cars following, some cars repairing, and Andrew's already out of the pits. So it's, yeah, that Spooky is in the pits now. Yeah, he's repairing the damage he got with that Porsche.
But Oosby is still in the lead. Abe just cannot seem to catch up or get by. Perhaps Oosby, the Minister of Defense, is going to be able to maintain his position purely by his power of defense.
It is a very, very possible
Dimitri makes the
scenario.
move on Andrew, and Andrew's trying to make the move back on Dimitri into the chicane. Fortunately, Andrew takes too much curb in that first part of the chicane and just does not manage to get around. Let's have a look back. There it is. The move by Dimitri. Andrew's ahead, but Dimitri goes down the inside and into the corner. Slight tussle between the two of them, but a very good move indeed by Dimitri. Fortunately, Maverick does not quite have the speed to be able to come back before the chicane against that Lamborghini.
Alright, Kevin
Abe is
Barfield in the pits
matching.
again.
Abe is going side by side with Oosby. And there's a collision
Oh,
between
yeah,
Oosby
yeah.
and Sante, as Oosby is spun around by who is now in pole position, or first place, sorry. Ackman promoted up into second place, and Philip into third place. Oosby again spinning into the wall, crashing horribly into the wall, and now has probably got a hefty amount of damage to his car. If we have a quick look at the replay, you'll be able to see now. Here comes Abe and Oosby going too wide, tap down the inside, and Oosby is spun round. Ackman to the off-road to avoid a collision, and a collision between Oosby and Shanae as Oosby tries to re-enter the track, unfortunately not safely. And now with a very unstable rear end, Oosby coming around that next corner and into the barriers immediately. That's going to be a hefty amount of damage for Oosby, and quite certainly, well, I say quite certainly, quite possibly, the end of his podium chances. We've already seen Abe with a massive spin manage to come back and take pole. So now we'll have to see how can Oosby handle this as he goes in for his pit stop.
But I think the stewards will definitely take a look at that.
Without a
Abe
doubt.
might get a time penalty. Depends how big it is. It might be a win for Ackerman on the cards.
Oh, don't say that. Ackerman can't win. It's not allowed.
I mean, he did win a championship a while back. It was before my time here, but he did.
A while back. We're talking
I
about
mean, it
now.
was...
So now we only have two drivers very close to one another for a fight. We've got Dimitri going side by side with Joel Carnelling. And into the third and final sector, approaching into the final hairpin. Dimitri with the outside line, and the much quicker car manages to take the position back.
Andrew Taggart is pitting now.
And we have a yellow flag. Yellow flag for Andrew. What's happened here for Andrew? I have to look back 30 seconds.
He also got a white flag, so it's very possible he had an off and was just slow.
Oh, it was again that curb. He went over the curb and it completely unsettled his car, and he caused a collision with Spooky as well as he came onto the track. It did not appear.
He has another spin as well now.
It does not appear as though he was holding brakes in his first incident. Let's have a look at the replay for the second incident.
He's gonna be stuck in the pits for 2 minutes now. He teleported to the pits, so
let's see this.
Oh, and he has retired from the race. What a shame.
Let's see this second incident now. Snap of the car, couldn't quite control the spin. And going off of the track and into the barrier, unfortunately. That is the end of the race for Andrew. As Vince just said, into the pits and left the session. Yellow flag for Ahmed Jassain as well. Plenty of yellow flags going on. Let's see, is it the chicane again? It's a chicane again. Unsettling the rear of his car and could not quite control it. Fortunately found himself turned into a lawnmower off the side of the track. Fortunately regaining control before the barriers and just about getting onto the track safely, as we have Jashay getting lapped by Uzbi now.
Alright, Spooky is in the pits again, repairing damage. And there we have another car in the pits, which is Jake Spinner, who is probably also going to repair some damage. And another car is entering the pits. That's a McLaren. Which one is it? It's from Jasmine. Okay. So a lot of people are going to the pits now, probably making their routine pit stops, the standard stuff. And others are still waiting for their moment.
Fastest lap goes to, no surprise, Abe with a 1:28.750. An incredible lap time, almost matching the pace of what he once set in qualifying. As we have Tom as well for VGTR now pitting. Quite a few drivers serving their mandatory pit stops, either purely because they were involved in an incident, or perhaps it is their time and they feel like this is the appropriate time to get their pit stop done. Chris now rapidly closing that gap down to John just ahead of him. Chris with perhaps a Ferrari advantage. I don't actually know. Is the Ferrari any faster than Mercedes?
I think they're pretty much equal. Mercedes is pretty good and Ferrari is pretty good in this game right now.
Ahmed gets a stop-go penalty for 30 seconds. And I think he's just left the session, unfortunately, for speeding in the pit lane. We do have a yellow flag as well. We've got Zolder and Spooky off of the grid. 999 and 53. Let's have a look. There is no collision between the two of them. I think it was just purely by their own doing that they are off of the track. Have a look now.
All right, I think that's, yep, that's Samsonov lapping a car. So yeah, not many fights for position going on as far as I can see. Except JP and Chris Weiders, or however you pronounce that. That's the closest gap I can see right now, which is about 4
We've got 3
tenths.
close gaps.
Oh yeah, there's some
We've got
more,
Jachet
but-
going in the pits now. Andrew Taggart, 0.4 seconds behind.
Oh,
Tom.
there's
Ahead
a
of him is a yellow
spin
flag.
of Tondir again. Shashi
It's
Tondir
gonna
has spun
be
again.
that chicane all over again, isn't it?
It was the second chicane, I think.
But it's the chicane.
Oh, and another spin into the tire wall! Oh, and another car in the wall because of avoiding action. Oh, that is horrible. That is absolutely horrible.
Back 30 seconds, so we see the initial contact with the curb. He spins his car around. Gets it going again.
So that first spin was not really a problem, but the second one was very, very hard.
At a snap, and there goes John into the wall, unfortunately. Collected by this incident as well. And here comes Noah Ackerman lapping Andrew Taggart in the Audi. You can see Altosis, Noah Ackerman getting mildly frustrated with the Audi man ahead of him.
He's
Unfortunately, Mavericks had to cut the corner, and now I'm switching between names too often. It's not. I'm not used to calling Maverick Andrew and Altosis Noah. It doesn't sound right.
It does not, yeah.
So we have another yellow flag. Kevin Barfield has caused the yellow flag. Let's have a quick look to see what has happened here.
Right, so Juan Kilponen has just served his mandatory pit stop that leaves Shashi Tondir as the last car with a... Oh wait, no, I'm stupid. There's a few more in the top who still have their mandatory pit stop, but in the 13th place and downwards, Shashi Tondir is the only one missing his mandatory pit stop. So he will make that one right now.
In the pits.
And then, oh no, Ackerman is the first one in the top 10 to serve their mandatory pit stop.
Top 12.
Top 12, yeah.
There goes Chris as well into the pits. Cthulhu catching up to James just ahead of him. Both drivers still required to serve their mandatory pit stop, or either one of them going to try and go for their pit stop. I think neither of them are going for their pit stop this lap. They are going to continue to fight it out. Chris has made it to his pit stop, and Noah Ackerman is there as well. Noah Ackerman's already got his car going, and is he going to get the position from Chris? He is. So Noah Ackerman has served his stop and is now in P7.
10 seconds and we will be at the halfway mark of the race today.
Oh, lovely.
And there we are.
And Chris with a stop-go penalty, unfortunately, for speeding in the pit lane. He's got 3 laps to serve that, or he will be... I think he'll be disqualified if he doesn't serve that, doesn't he?
I don't know, actually. Yeah, I think it's disqualified. We had... I remember one incident with a drive-through penalty. It was during...
We have a 4-car battle. Hold on to cut you off there, but Oosby's trying to lap some drivers. I think that was Oosby, or maybe it wasn't Oosby trying to lap, but it was Oosby trying to fight through the pack. And there was contact with him and another driver. Let's have a look at the corner again. He bumps the rear end of that McLaren just ahead of him, almost causing collision with the Ferraris behind him. But Oosby, sorry, not lapping the cars, but he's trying to climb the pack or make his way back up the grid. unfortunately got involved in a few incidents there. Is now back up into 16th place with Jachet ahead of him next on his hit list. Or, well, overtaking list.
Yeah. Alright, so what I was wanting to say, I remember one moment, I think it was my first GT3 season, I think it was season 4, last season? Was it? I don't know, I don't even know. Anyways, it was my first GT3 season, it was the first race. I think it was Woofy. Woofy got a drive-through penalty, and he didn't serve it, and he got disqualified, so I think if he does not serve that, he will be disqualified.
Well, I think Chris has just gone in the pits to serve it now, along with Hernandez, Konos, and Haki all to serve their pit stop. And there goes Abe, our race leader, is now in the pit stop. Or in the pit, sorry.
Which makes Philip
Along
Ferlinski our
with
race
Dimitri
leader.
and with John. So Joel Carnelling will take second place in this race so far.
But he has not pit yet as well, so...
Indeed, he hasn't. Jay Kelly up into third place after a bit of a spin at the start of the race. Now if we go with Abe, he should be done with his pit stop very soon.
Ackerman pushing his way to somehow get ahead of him with an undercut, but I don't think it will work out.
There goes Abe, he's coming out of the pits.
And Ackerman will not make it.
Will not, but perhaps he gets ahead of the other two though. He's ahead of Dimitri and he's ahead of John. So now Dimitri up and Jay Kelly with a yellow flag. I think it was another case of the deadly chicane. There are 2 chicanes in this track, and each time a driver goes round, there is going to be at least one victim now rejoining the track alongside Chris.
Alright, so Ackerman is the second car which has already pitted, so the 4
Drive-through for
leading cars are
992 for Spooky and for Hacky for track limits. And Chris, who served, I believe, tried to serve his stop-go, got another stop-go. Because I did notice he jumped into the pits. There goes Philip Chenet, or Philip Ferlensky, aka Chenet, into the pits now, as Joel Carnelling takes the lead of the race. Heavily under pressure by a lapped car behind him. Drive through cleared.
No, it's is it still a remain? Oh no, it's cleared. Yeah, there's a remaining 2 laps for 992
That's
to
spooky.
serve there with F2. So hopefully he did not oversee it, because if he does not serve it, he will be disqualified.
Philip with a stop-go penalty as well. Chenet
Oh,
up into
oh no.
P6 has a stop-go penalty, and there's a yellow flag for James Konos. Another victim of the curbs. I believe Erie goes into the chicane, over the sausage curbs, and into the barrier. Another victim taken by the death of the curbs. There goes Abe as well, up into third place, overtaking Cthulhu. That's Joel Carnelling now pit, so Kelly will soon inherit the lead of the race. Now it comes towards the line. And there it is. Kelly now leads the race around Zolder this afternoon. First time.
Of course, Kali has a few achievements in the AM categories when they were still a thing, but nowadays in the combined GT3 class, he does not have a win yet. But I don't think it will happen today, since it's still 1 pit stop remaining on this pit stop board. So yeah.
I believe Shanae has now opted to pit now to serve his stop-go penalty, 30 seconds. So a very unfortunate race for our previous champion and our current contending championship leader, Usby, to have involved in an incident and to have received a stop-go penalty, respectively, between the two drivers. Now, unfortunately, find themselves down in 13th and currently 10th place for Usby and Shanae.
That will hurt their points tally a good amount.
Indeed, there goes Kelly in the pits. And so now Abe will retake the lead of this race. And every driver on the grid has served their stop-go penalty. And as I see a yellow flag for Jake Spinner, unfortunately, let's have a quick look to see what happened here. Exactly that. He had a bit of a spin. The back end decided to step out of line. Fortunately, he managed to grab control of the car. Potential damage to the rear end of the car. We'll have to see. He's not a victim to the curbs of the chicane. So that is certainly a trophy on his wall. So we have yellow flags. We have disqualified. Spooky has been disqualified for failing to serve his drive-through penalty. And so now Spooky is out of this race. And that is it. We have gone from 25 drivers and now down to 22 minutes and 20 seconds. We're down to only 21 drivers.
Oh, Spooky. Oh, Spooky.
He might have scared himself into not doing it.
Yep.
Too spooky for himself.
Oh, god damn it. Yep, so Kelly is in what is it? P8 now?
Yep.
And Abe is leading by
Kyrian.
8 seconds.
Fortunately, trying to get out of the way of lapping drivers. Ends up going for a bit of a swim in the gravel trap. Fortunately, though, just in time to avoid any incident, as we have another yellow flag. And it is L. Adrian this time, and I think he is a victim of the curbs. He is, and he is stuck in the gravel trap, trying to escape. Fortunately, out of the way of all the approaching drivers. As Usby takes another position. We are missing out on these overtakes, but Usby now up at 11th place.
He is making his way through the grid pretty good.
He is indeed.
And he's already only 7/10 in the vicinity of the next car.
Ackerman's last lap was a 120. Just to jump back to the top of the grid, but Ackerman's last lap was a 128.8. The fastest lap a 128.46. So Ackerman's just 4/10 off of the fastest lap.
If he can hold the gap together and there is a big enough penalty for Abe Santimer, who knows what happens.
As Jushay and Usby are going too wide.
Oh boy,
Into
oh boy,
the
oh boy.
chicane, they are going too wide. Two Ferraris side by side. Jushay, unfortunately, not able to get the exit that he would have wanted to maintain that position, but they are all so close together. Philip, Hernandez, Jushay, and Usby all fighting for 10th place. 4 cars all down that main straight. We have a BMW for Shanae, Hernandez in the Ferrari, McLaren for Jushay, and Ferrari for Usby. Who is going to come out ahead? It looks like Hernandez is going to go for a move. So is Shanae, and Jushay is going to lose out on 3 positions in that one sector. Very unfortunate racing, but it is still a delight to see Jushay back on the track and racing with us.
Oh, definitely. I've had some nice battles with Jushay in my active season, my last active season. He's a good driver to battle with. Very respectful, very clean. It's nice to see him back.
ride on board now with Andrew Taggart. He is certainly getting closer and closer to Joel Carnelling, just ahead of him, but unfortunately not quite close enough to make the move. They get through the chicane really well, though. Carnelling not quite getting the exit that he wanted, as Andrew's now closing that gap quicker and quicker. He's got a great exit, and he certainly got the car to make the move. He goes for the move down the inside. It is the chicane. There is a contact between the two of them. Joel Carnelling remains ahead in this fight, as Andrew Taggart is back down into 7th place. 49 and 68. Let's have a replay of that incident. If we have a look at the helicopter cam, you can see Andrew going for the move down the inside. Unfortunately, Joel Carnelling turns into him. I don't think he was expecting the dive bomb from the Audi driver behind, so certainly will be reviewed by the stewards after the session, or for the stewards review on Tuesday. As we have a constant yellow flag being waved, because Spooky's car is apparently being yellow flagged in the pits.
Amazing. The race marshals are very, very reliable.
Exactly, and during that fight between the two drivers, Philip Ferlinski, the previous champion for Phoenix, has managed to climb up a position. He's now up to 11th place. Climbing the order one by one, just like Oosby ahead of him. Two drivers who once used to both drive the BMW. Now only one remaining of BMW, as Oosby jumped ship to the Ferrari, which, as many have told me, is a far nicer car to handle and is stable in all-round everything.
It is, yes.
As Joel Carnelling, again, he gets a snap of oversteer, I believe, and could not quite get the car turned in. Maverick with a brilliant I keep saying Maverick. I need to stick to a name. As Taggart gets a good exit. We'll stick with last names to the best of my ability. Other than Chris. It's just going to be Chris for Chris.
Chris just needs to get an easier last name, to be honest.
I want him to, Chris, if you're watching back and you hear this, please message me. Please let me know how you phonetically pronounce your last name. I will get this right one time. But now the one battle, the closest battle we have, is the battle we're spectating now. We're driving on board with Andrew Taggart trying to close that gap down to Joel Carnelling ahead of him in the Ferrari. Number 49 and 68 fighting for 6th place. It seems so far in this lap, Joel Carnelling is going to be safe from attack, at least in the first half of this lap. We'll have to see how it goes in the second half. I have to say, I do miss the sound of the engines. I kind of want to get back into racing now. I'm just listening to the Audi, and the Audi just sounds very nice.
I remember the 6 hours of Brands Hatch, which a few of us were competing in. And I was with Altosis in Aston. And he was driving most of the time. I think he was driving 3/4 of all the stints we did. Like three quarters of the whole race. And at one point, when I was about to take over the car, he was describing the noise to me. He was like completely hypnotized by the whole noise because he has been driving for such a long time. It's pretty funny.
Shanae now closing that gap down quite quickly to Oosby ahead of him. Fighting now for 10th place. Can Oosby take position? Now, the only battle on the track is the two previous contenders for the championship last season, now contenders for 10th place.
What a change of times.
Indeed.
Oh, and
Oh,
there is
laps
Adrian
traffic.
involved in that.
I'm sure Sinead's getting fed up of that rear bumper ahead of him.
Is he gonna try? No, he's not.
But Oosby's
Oh,
gone
but he
deep.
could go inside. Nice move by Sinead.
Sinead up into 10th place. A beautiful move, and Oosby definitely will not back out of this fight anytime soon.
Double yellows again, but those are fake, as we all know, because Tuki is in the pits.
Just a reminder as well as we watch this battle, we do have the F1 Austrian Sprint that will occur in the next 12 minutes. Fortunately, this race will still be going on. We'll be coming to like the dying couple laps for the rest of the grid. So please do be aware that that will be going live shortly. If for any reason this race does extend and the stream is still going, please do not share any spoilers of the race, of the sprint race, sorry, in the stream, as of course we would love to watch the race ourselves and we'll have to be late to the party as we see a fight continuing between Oosby and Sinead as they approach a lapped driver ahead of them. Oh, sorry, that's not a lap driver. They are getting lapped. I
Yep,
believe that is Abe going past them now.
it is. Yes, it
That
is.
is. They were once fighting for a position and now they're getting lapped. Oh,
Yep.
that is very unfortunate.
When it comes to the F1 sprint, I hope Hulkenberg does well today, because he is on P4 again, but
On
last
a
time
different
when
note,
he
I'm going to cut you off there, but I just managed to catch a beautiful slide by Andrew Taggart. Let's have a look at the replay.
Oh
He
boy, man.
almost lost the car there. Very much almost lost the car, but you can see there in the middle of your screen there,
Yeah,
a
I saw
beautiful
that.
drift.
Jesus.
And he
Jesus.
manages to catch it just in time.
I think
But no,
he forgot he's in Zolder, not in Tokyo.
But no, I agree. I definitely do look forward to seeing what Hulkenberg can do as Joshe now pits.
Last time in Canada, he had the unfortunate moment with the safety car. I hope does not happen again in the sprint.
Pardon me, but yellow flag for Kevin Barfield, sorry. Let's have a look what happened here for Kevin. May have rewinded a little too fast. We're going to enjoy a nice 10 seconds of him driving. And there it is, going very wide and unfortunately into the grass. Managing to catch the car before going into the wall. And letting the car roll off of the track and off of the racing line. So very good recovery by the McLaren man. And it's going. And there is still, there is yet another yellow flag as well. A lot of yellow flags. We got to have a counter for this. Adrian going into the chicane, unfortunately dabbling into the grass, could not quite stop the car due to the lack of grip on his tires.
Might also be some understeer involved there.
Kevin Barfield again with the yellow flag. It is just a race of yellow flags around Zolder, and unfortunately the chicane and the grass are just taking
And there's
victims
another
left, right,
car
and center.
off.
That's Shashi Thunder. Quick look
This
to
is
see what's happening.
a yellow flag parade.
Apparently nothing happened for the yellow flag for Shashi. I'm very confused. Does we lose another driver?
Yep, that was the car I saw spinning off. It was number 111. Don't know who that was, but
I can't remember.
probably somebody who has not been with us for a very long time, so we do not know his number by like who the number is belonging to.
To be fair, I don't know who half our drivers' numbers are. The only person I know is Sinead because he chose to change to 1.
I know many of the numbers. I know that Kelly is always 91. I know Noah is Altosis is always number 23. I know it's, Maverick or Taggart always uses number 49.
See, you remember these things. I don't.
Yeah, I remember most of them, but sometimes I forget them as well. I couldn't tell you which number Konos uses. I mean, I have it here, but I'm not looking at it right now, so. Wuzipi also changed his number at one point. I think he was number 69 before, and now he's 29.
Maybe. I don't remember. Fortunately, another yellow flag for a blue flag. L. Adrian trying to get out of the way for a blue flag, lapping car behind. Ends up having to go into the grass to avoid an incident, and then unfortunately, because of that trip in the grass, has a bit of a spin. And in some breaking F1 news, not really breaking, but still quite interesting, Alonso has been slapped with an FIA fine.
Oh.
No, that was not much of a spot. The Spaniard was given a fine of €100 after being found to have sped in the pit lane during only the practice session of the weekend.
100, that's like
He clocked in at
80.9
80.9 kilometers per hour with an 80 kilometer per hour pit lane limiter.
Wow.
That's a yellow flag for James Konos. What has happened to James?
No.
James coming through the chicane. The chicane was not what caused the incident, but James coming out of the chicane just could not quite control the rear of his car, and unfortunately went spinning off into the wall. A proper slapper into the wall, and that is the front end of this car. That definitely will be damaged. As Shashi gets a drive through that didn't even pop up on the screen. Shashi trying to avoid a collision with a driver ahead, trying to dive into the pits as quick as they possibly could. Now into the pit to serve their drive through. Lance Stroll as well, fined €200 for going more than 1 kilometer over the limit.
What is wrong with the Aston pit limiter?
Lewis Hamilton given a fine of, I think it was €180 for going 0.2 kilometers over the pit limiter.
What the hell? Why is everybody going over the pit limiter?
I mean, I think 0.2 is just a too finer adjustment, or a too finer penalty. As we lose Spooky now, finally, after disqualifying from this race, has opted to leave the session now. If you haven't already and you're interested to join as well, please be sure to join our Discord server. For ACC, we do require you to join the Discord server for the briefing and for all of that, as well as joining us on SimGrid. I think we're currently at 180 members strong on SimGrid, and we wish to continue to grow that and have more of you racing. I think we're averaging about 25 drivers per race at the moment, whereas last season we were only at a mere 13, so it was incredible to see a spike in drivers, and we hope to see that to continue to grow. Spooky was saying my track limit messages were turned off for some reason, and unfortunately, getting his car repaired 4 times is not fun. No, I can imagine getting repaired 4 times is not fun at all. I can't imagine that being fun at all. As we come now down towards the dying minutes of this race, I just want to give a small shout out. We do have a few new drivers. Unfortunately, I don't recognize all of the names, but I do recognize one in particular who has been racing with us for a little while for F1 and F2 and has decided to dabble into the territories of ACC, which is quite incredible considering how tough this race can be. But we've got Diamond Dust esports player. I believe they do Smash Bros, Ultimate Smash Bros. But we've got Joanne Kilponen, I hope I've pronounced that right, aka Kiri in the Discord server. I'm very much delighted to see them race for the first time with us for ACC. As they dabble.
Was in the 4-hour race as well.
And in the 4-hour race. Oh, okay, well, they've done 2 races then. Incredible to see.
I overtook them. That's why I remember them.
Fair enough. Well, sitting in 16th place, and for their first league race, proper league race, not the endurance race with us, that is still an incredible start to their ACC career.
It is, yeah, it is definitely.
Their fastest lap is just 3 seconds, ignoring Abe, because he's incredibly quick, as we have a fight here between Kelly and Taggart. Ignoring Abe, Kiri is currently just 3 seconds off of the pace of the fastest lap as we have a yellow flag for Hacky. That is a beautiful transition to the livery. I'll thank the game for that. But unfortunately, Hacky is now off onto the gravel. We'll have to see what has happened to him once my application decides to respond. There we go. Hacky coming around the corners, and unfortunately, I think driving out of the way, and I think he's just going to stop off of the track. Yeah, I think he's just stopping off the side of the track, trying to get out of the way of the approaching drivers. Unfortunately, he was stopped quite dangerously close to the racing line and did not move till it was very much towards the end of what was allowed to be safe. Interesting to see as we see him back racing. I think perhaps he was just getting out of the way for a mass group of drivers who are trying to lap him. As we have James and Chris going too wide into the first corner. James with the inside line, unfortunately losing out on the position, but he's still got that inside line now into the next corner. He's got the outside line. He's going to have to go very wide around this corner. Fortunately, he continues to lose the position.
Just as a heads up, the leader is on the final lap.
Leader is on the final lap, and Andrew Taggart has a drive-through penalty for track limits. It is all getting spicy now towards the end of the race as Hacky again goes very slow down that main straight. I think he was just trying to get out of the way of a fast approaching driver, a lapping driver. We'll have to see. He's getting out of the way for Abe there, and then swerves to the right. He's actually going very slowly down that main straight, which is why the yellow flag was pulled out and taps into the wall. There it is. You hear it in the game. Leader is on the final lap. Andrew Taggart with a drive-through. Now is the driver going off the track and into the wall. That is Gerlandi Hacky, who I think has just not had a great race towards the end of this race. And we just see him going straight off and into the wall. He just could not get that car to turn. And unfortunately, that will be it for his race. Now down to 18 drivers left on the grid. Andrew Taggart still yet to serve that drive-through.
Abe Santama has entered his last sector of the race.
Last sector, and Andrew has a drive-through to serve. And I'm curious to know what will happen if he doesn't serve it, because of course there's no more laps of the race left.
Yep, but anyway, here comes Abe Santama into the last 2 corners of this race. He's driven very nicely, except for that one small tap. You'll see what the stewards will have to say about it, but Abe Santama wins at Zolder, right here, in front of Noah Ackerman and Dimitri Samsonov.
Incredible race. He was just storming ahead. There was no chance of anyone catching that.
Yeah, he was crazy. There was no chance getting him.
as we have Shanae and Cthulhu finishing the race.
There is still Samsonov missing from the top 3. He will come across the line any moment now to take his podium finish. It's gonna be the lighter of that one.
As Shanae decides to just drive inside of Cthulhu's car. Kelly and Taggart are still racing, though. Taggart's just ahead of him. 0.1 second splitting the two of them. They are still racing, and they are in the third sector now, coming towards the final few corners. But I think Andrew Taggart is going to keep this position. He may have that penalty to serve at the end of the race, but at least on track, he can say he won ahead of Kelly on track. So now into the chicane, Andrew will maintain the lead in this battle and will finish in 7th place. That penalty will not do him any good. I will demote him 30 seconds, so down to 8th place.
P8. Not too bad, only 1 position, so.
Have a look through all the different drivers. What are they all doing at the end of this race? We see the two the two Team Rocket players having a bit of a collision at the end of the track there. Abe is back in the pits. I can't find anyone. Ah, there we go. There's a few people doing some donuts. We got JP and Kevin doing some donuts there down the main straight. And I'd like to also say one last thing before I think we're going to call it quits there, because I do not believe we have any interviews. Today is the day of, there will be an announcement for this, but today is Phoenix SimSport's birthday.
It is.
It is.
Oh.
So, happy birthday to everyone for Phoenix
Happy
SimSport.
birthday, Phoenix SimSport.
Thank you everyone for being with us for the past year, and we look forward to seeing what we can do in the next few years. I say next few years, I'm being very, very optimistic that we'll be around for the next few years, but I'm certain we'll be around for a while, and I look forward to seeing what spectacular racing we will have in store for the future. Thank you, Vin, for joining me today. I think this will be the end of the stream, because I think everyone is quite tired from the race, but equally, everyone wants to go watch the sprint race, which I completely agree. I want to go watch the sprint race as well. So thank you for joining me, and...
It was a pleasure.
I will speak to
You guys... When's the next stream? I'm doing Tier 2
Next
and Tier 1
week,
tomorrow.
Maybe. I will be... Next week I will be racing, not commentating, but yeah.
Oh, I look forward to seeing you race.
Yep, that will be fun in the rain.
See you tomorrow.